Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Stellaris Overlord, Episode 6.
Construction online.
Alright, what's your name? Exarch 404. That is a 25 size planet, yes. It's just not one that I can colonize easily. Has a habitability of 5, which would be horrible. Oh, my homeworld is lacking work, so I'm going to build an industrial district as fast as I can. And I do have a robot here, so I'm actually going to also break down the robot assembly plant in lieu of research labs.
Evading hostiles.
Crud. Oh, crud. We found the other marauders, I think. Because, yeah, this is a marauder base. So, Tannering, get out of there or you're dead. Okay, he's getting out of there. So, these marauders are probably 1, 2, 3 in this formation. Meaning that both marauders are kind of like in my galactic vicinity, which is not great, but rather hilarious. So, Tannering, start going this way, figure out what's down there. I'm just trying to fill in the map as much as I can. I don't have any piracy, no. I basically don't have any trade at all. An abandoned gateway has been found. Where? Oh, here it is. At Bolthor. Neat. So I'm going to try to get Delta Pavonis before the Prosnaken do. Pushing this way first. Because this here is pretty guaranteed, and then the stuff back here is definitely guaranteed, because there's absolutely no one that's going to take that from me. Not without bulldozing past me. Which is hopefully not that likely. So the Lambda Serpentis station should be called the Rhadamant anchorage. I wish the stations would name themselves after the star systems, but they don't. That's one thing that Stellaris has never done that has always bothered me. And then this system here has a lot of planets, so hopefully there's something interesting here.
Online.
With any luck. And you go out to Cosmalion. And I'll add that as soon as I have the influence to do so. My empire is kind of looking like an open mouth that's ready to devour the Eradicators.
Construction online.
Okay. And here I'm going to put 2 anchorages there, which will allow me to build up more of a navy. So I'm actually going to build one of the... Oh, you know what? I just realized. Here, lock closed. Thank you. I am currently researching destroyers. So in 10 months, I'll have destroyers, and I'll start adding destroyers to my task force, Siddhartha.
Discovered.
Which will be a really good way to expand my military. Normally, I would go with colonial centralization, which allows for me to build a planetary capital. But in this case, I think I'm actually going to go to terrestrial sculpting so that I can terraform Rhadamant, as that is even more important. That allows me to increase my colonies by like 50%. It also will allow me to colonize Delta Pavonis A1A, which is a 13 size arid world that has natural beauty and low gravity, which if I can annex that in time before the Prosnaken can get there, that would be yet another colony. But I definitely can't terraform or colonize the walled garden. That would be complete and utter suicide. There's actually a way to, and I've done this in the past, to weaponize those consecrated worlds. And the way to do that is to like colonize them, and the moment you start a colony, gift it to your enemy, and then the the Fallen Empire goes to war with your enemy as like a Trojan horse gift. It's rather funny, but I'm not going to do that in this instance. Also, it doesn't always work. Sometimes they don't accept the trade, and then you end up getting the subject of the war anyway. But yeah, I have made that work, and it's rather hilarious. It's like, oh, I've colonized this for you. Here you go. and then the Fallen Empire completely and utterly crushes them. It's really funny. Because really early in the game, no one can stand up to the Fallen Empires other than the other Fallen Empires, because they're just that much stronger. Now, if Prosnak can get the system themselves, will they colonize the Holy Planet themselves? Likely not. The AI is smart enough not to do that, because it is completely and utterly suicidal. Oh, Sylvanti, you don't have enough work. So let's add yet another farmer there. And then over in Yoda Prime, I'm actually going to replace one of the agricultural districts with an industrial one, because we're transitioning our farming over to Sylvanti Prime instead. Uh-oh, they're getting close. It's really a race here. It's a race of influence. If I don't get it, it's not the end of the world. It's a rather small world that it would offer me. And in either case, Cosmalian would be a bottleneck too. Because there's only one way past. Because it's not like the Fallen Empire is going to open their borders to anyone. But I hope I do get Delta Pavanis. But I'm about to raffle off Cosmalian, so if you are a subscriber, be active in the chat and you'll get it. You'll be eligible, at least, to it. Alright. I am going to research Starholds next. Starholds allows you to increase the size of your starbases by 1, increasing the modules by 2, and the buildings by 1. So that will allow me to add more anchorages, which increase my naval capacity. And we also just got the research for destroyers. So I'm going to raffle off the destroyers, and they're going to be called the Off-Greys. So, congrats, Off-Grey. So my Off-Greys are, I'm going to design them to be artilleries. So I'm going to give them an artillery bow, which is one large weapon, instead of 2 small weapons and a medium weapon, so that they can hit from further out. Then, the weapon I'm going to give them is going to be a large mass driver, so that they can deplete shields from a distance, backed up by 2 lasers, which can damage armor when they're close. We'll give that 3 shields, 3 armor, and that's it. That is the Off-Grey. And this fleet here, I'm going to go to the fleet manager. I'm going to add 2 Off-Greys to this fleet. And then as my naval capacity goes up, I will add even more, because I want to increase my navy to the point where the Ivandari Eradicators are no longer an imminent threat. Speaking of espionage, I have spied on them pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... No, I don't want to gather information yet, because I don't want to spend the influence. But because I have an infiltration level of 50, I can run a whole bunch of aggressive spying actions, like sabotaging starbase facilities or stealing technology. But this all costs influence, which I'm not willing to spend at this time. Because I have better things to spend it on, like trying to get Delta Pavanis. Alright, you. Keep exploring. Actually, this here is definitely a marauder, so don't go there. It's kind of like Minesweeper. I can just... Oh, this is so weird. So the vassal under my Overlord has no actual border to the Overlord, as you can see. The pathing here doesn't actually connect at all, which is pretty interesting. So there's really nowhere left to go for tannering here, except to risk going into the Marauder territory. Because if I can go into the Marauder territory and then jump into the Hontak Galactic Hierarchy, I can keep exploring. So I'm going to risk it. But I have to watch him hop, because it's dangerous.
Online.
All right, Cosmalian has been added, and it is going to be named Dead Dodo. And then I'm going to race to Delta Pavanis. Oh, nope, he died. It was immediate. Sorry, Tannering. Rip. So there's basically nowhere else to explore. I'm locked in now. Chrome Jr. is going to research these anomalies and then eventually go to the archaeology site of the strange flows. Blue lasers just got unlocked. Let's go with moat harvesting traps. So this will allow me to exploit volatile moats, which is going to be pretty important because Big Sea Panda and Spicy Jazz both have volatile moats, which I can start exploiting as a resource. And then I got some sort of... Oh, I think I got coil guns, right? Let me double check. No, I got tier 2 lasers. So let's retrofit my fleet to incorporate those lasers.
Construction online.
And I'm not going to get there in time. I can already see the Prosnakin construction ship heading for Delta Pavanis' star, which means that my construction ship won't get there in time, and I'll double back to Bolthor instead. So, Dead Dodo, you are, in fact, the bottleneck. You are the bastion between us and the Prosnakin now. But the next system I'm going to get is the backtrack system, because it has the bowel precursor chain there. So, backtrack is more important to me than Bolthor. Man, I am pinned in.
Fleet upgraded.
All right, 1,000 physics research from that anomaly. That's not bad. I probably should make contact with the Omega aliens, which is definitely a Marauder enclave. So I'm going to take my spy that was at the Prosnakin here and put them to work over there. I think likely the Eradicators are much more of a threat to me than the Prosnakin, because the Prosnakin would have to go through the Marauders, and the AI is not smart enough to thread the needle there. So these Marauders they're actually a bit of a defense for me. And Frashia, thank you for the follow, by the way. Whereas the Eradicators could mow right through Spicy Jazz and then take Yoda and Sylvanti. So I'm going to keep spying on these guys, but we're already maxed infiltration level.
Fleets enhanced.
Oh, yeah. Big fleet energy. So I am at my naval capacity max, and I have to build additional anchorages to raise that up. So I'll be getting additional anchorages once I get the Starhold researched. So once I have 28 more influence, I'll get backtrack. And that also means that I'm going to need to send a scientist over there to do the archaeology. So let's look at the leaders that I can recruit. I don't like any of the subset of leaders that I have offered it to me at this moment. But I will actually take this scientist and put them in oddly as my physics researcher, because my physics researcher was a New Worlds researcher. It was actually Yoda himself. And this new scientist has 10% bonus. His name is Fangface. And that's going to be better. So let's give Yoda here a ship so that he can head to the Gaul precursor chain. Unfortunately, when my researchers leveled up, or rather was given these special traits as a result of hitting specialization tier 2, my leader who was Yoda at the time, wasn't given that special trait because he was acting as a leader and not a researcher. But he was a New Worlds researcher type. Star patterns. So let's get to the bottom of why these stars pulsate. The latest sensory readings from Techie 93 showed a star pulsating regularly. But when the crew on the Yoda Vilgarian arrived at the site, there was no evidence to support this data. While most of the crew are in agreement that the anomaly was caused by a sensory malfunction, the science officer Chrome Jr. discards this theory. Chrome Jr. claims to have discovered the similar pulsating star energy emission patterns elsewhere, and now fears that something strange is happening to the galaxy's stars. They have charted the course to the nearest afflicted star. Yes.
Situation log updated.
We open up the situation log and map out where it is, and oh, well, that's not good. It's on the other side of the Fallen Empire, so the only way that I can possibly get there is to physics research to allow me to hop over them, because they sure as heck not going to open up their borders to me. So that is going to be a project for a distant time, because there is no way I'm getting there anytime soon, unfortunately. So right now my mandate is to have 20 energy a month, and I only have 10. So what I'm doing here on Yoda Prime is I'm replacing these agricultural districts with the generator ones to try to fulfill that mandate, because I'm making plenty excess food right now. 2 more months and I'll be able to get backtrack. And that will be raffled off to one of you. And I'm going to reset eligibilities now. So anyone that's active in the chat from this point until I get backtrack is eligible if you're a subscriber. So here's Yoda. And he is going to be at backtrack 2, ready to annex. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, done. As soon as that is built, one more star into the fold. Months until I get Freight of Collectives. There it is. There's backtrack. Alright. Going to... Well, Techie, see, you already have a system, so you can't have 2. Petrable. Congrats. You called it. This system has trade value, which means that if I collect it, it would provide wealth to my colony. So that does interest me. In order to obtain that trade value, I would need to have Yoda, the Yoda shipyard, switch to a trade hub, which means that I would not have any shipyards left. So that's not likely something I'm going to do. So I'm going to just do without collecting that trade value for now.
Comms initiated.
And there we go. We met the Omega aliens, and they are indeed just yet another Marauder Empire, because, you know, my luck. So let's employ that envoy to start spying on the Prosnakan again, because my espionage level decreased as I was employed elsewhere. And Yoda's going to start excavating the barren site for the bowel precursor chain, which should be indicated here, this precursor chain. So the precursor chain, every player that starts a new game will get a pseudo-randomized precursor chain, which gives a huge benefit once it's done. So it's like, think of it as like a big, massive anomaly quest chain that includes a whole lot of hoops to jump through. It's only pseudo-random because there's ways to affect the precursor chain. So for instance, if you want the Zeroni precursor chain, which is probably the most rare one, the way to do that is to only survey habitable planets. So you can, because the Zeroni precursor chain only occurs on habitable planets, so in order to basically increase your chances for that chain, you just only fully survey habitable planets, and it will increase the chance that you get that precursor chain. So there's ways to sort of manipulate the game to drive you to certain chains, but there's a lot of precursor chains. I think there's like 6 in total that you can't really game the system all that much. So in my case, I got the Bowel, which you'll see pan out here. But if I was a spiritualist empire, and I wanted, because the Zeroni precursor chain is more geared towards spiritualists, I could have avoided surveying everything except for planets to try to increase my chance for the Zeronis. Just a little additional information there. DS5K, thanks for the resub, and cheers. So this planet here has a bit of a amenity penalty here. So I would like to try to get a hollow theater set up. So I'm going to build a city district and a hollow theater to try to make Sylventi Prime less crime. There's also no free jobs here either. But as you can see, my energy credit max went from +8 to +27 a month. So I'm already hitting my mandate of keeping it above +20. And then the next job I do here will be an industrial district after I switch over the generator. So you'll see in 4 days the agricultural district turn into a generator district.
Construction online.
Like that. You only had the Zeroni chain once? Yeah, it's rare because you can only trigger the chain from habitable worlds. So if you really want the Zeroni chain, increase your habitable world slider up to max, and then only survey those habitable worlds, and you'll nearly guarantee that you get it. But it is a rare one. I didn't get it for the longest time until I sort of gamed the system myself. So I only have 2 more systems to be able to annex, Farim and Bolthor, and I'm going to go for Farim first, because it has trade value. And Creative Collectives just got triggered, which means that my metallurgists and my artisans are now making extra resources, which is kind of cool. So here's this archaeological site. We have 3 clues. And then this one, we have 1 clue. Ouch.
Discovered.
It's real bad. Moat harvesting traps just got done. Oh, awesome. So I'm going to actually trigger my ship to start harvesting those moats. And then the next research we're going to put in here, it's so weird to have a societal researcher up in that position. But I can't afford better at the moment. I'm going to get basic combat rolls, which gives us combat computers to be able to designate what kind of ships we have. Very powerful research early on. So this constructor is actually going to get the moats first and then annex Farim. So because I'm going for the moats first, I'm going to actually get Bolthor in the meantime. And we found a new faction. So this new faction is Spiritualists, which is kind of annoying because we're materialists. So I'm just going to rename it Spiritualist Faction. Only 5 people believe in them of all my population, and they're not very supported because I allow robots. I'm secular. I'm not pursuing psionics. I have not 25% of my population believing in the spiritualist faction, so they're not happy. One way to suppress them, to try to encourage them to change to other factions, is to suppress them here, but this costs influence per month, which currently I'm using my influence to annex things. But once I'm fully annexed on everything, I could suppress them, or alternatively, promote other factions to encourage people to change factions to those promoted ones. So maybe I'll end up doing both.
Situation log updated.
Nice. There is a resource cache right where Chrome Jr. is, so I'm going to go grab that and put a pause on this archaeology site, which has been going so poorly. Like, I rolled a -2. I mean, come on now. So poorly. What is the system between Techie and Balthar? Exarch. Exarch 404. Or do you mean this one? This one is unexplored because it's belonging to the Marauders, and going there likely means I would get blown up.
Research project concluded.
So I got a physics cache from that.
Construction online.
Oh, there we go. Now you can see the Marauders, now that I annexed this at Balthar. Oh, and Balthar, you are now named Nick the Good. You already have one, so re-rolling that. Dead Dota, you have one. Chrome Jr. So this gateway here is disabled, and I need to research gateway activation to re-enable it. And that gateway would link to every other active gateway in the galaxy. I don't know of any other active gateways. I haven't found any. But all the gateway systems connect to one another, like a big subway network or something like that. Whereas wormholes, is there wormholes here? Yes. Wormholes only connect to one another. They're bound to each other as a wormhole. Whereas gateways are all interconnected, and you can actually end up building your own gateways too. That becomes possible later on with additional tech. Mega project tech. Alright, here in the Agro world, ooh god, it is so upset. Let's build a theater. So my stability here is really low because of my pop rating, because I don't really have a lot of amenities. So one of the things I could do is distribute luxury goods with consumer goods to increase amenities so that the stability goes up, at least temporarily, and then in the long run, I'm going to build hollow theaters here so that Sylvanti Prime doesn't have any crime problems, because it was starting to get some crime problems. So in the immediate, for the next 10 years, I'm distributing luxury goods there. And then in the long term, I have a hollow theater that keeps people entertained.
Technology discovered.
Ooh, I just got Starhole Tech, which is going to be really important. So the next I'm going to get here is, let's go with Plasteel Armor, reinvesting in our military. And then with Starhole Tech, I'm going to go to every anchorage I have and increase the size. And then the Yoda shipyard as well when I buy some more alloys. Even more alloys. And this is going to allow me to build additional anchorages, and then also to build additional trade hubs to be able to grab the trade value in Petrol and Ferrum. Ferrum's 3 hops away, Petrol's 2 hops away, so I'm going to need 3 trade hubs in Yoda, the Yoda shipyard. So the Yoda shipyard is actually going to be more like a Yoda trade hub, but that's fine. Thick layers of ash and a notable mass extinction event in the geological record coincide with the material previously extracted from the Grunon data crystals, suggesting that the Gruner firebombed I'm Petrol 2 with a Gelling incendiary roughly 7 million years ago. Widespread deforestation on the planet's surface disrupted the local ecosystems, and the lack of oxygen fixing vegetation gradually depleted in the planet's atmosphere over the next 60,000 years. So it is now a barren planet as a result of that firebombing. and we're still investigating that.
Construction online.
So this construction ship really doesn't have anything left to do, so I'm just going to have him hang out at Dead Dodo. But there's nothing left to build down there. But I don't want to destroy it, because maybe I have use for it in the future. Even though there is a bit of an upkeep of 1 energy credit per month. But because it's so annoying to skirt past Sir Keck here, I don't want to destroy it just yet.
New technology discovered.
Terraforming gases! Yes! Okay, so the next thing I'm going to research here will be interstellar fleet traditions. No, maybe not. I'm actually going to research Doctrine Space Combat to increase the amount of fleet command that I can have in one fleet. Right now, my cap is 30 ships, or 30 fleet per fleet. 30 command per fleet. And this will raise it up to 50. Yeah. And then terraforming gases being researched allows me to terraform Tyrodinis from a continental world, which is really not habitable, to a savanna world, which is 65% habitable. Does cost me 5,000 of my energy credits, which is just about all of them, but it'll be worth it in the long run, for sure. And then in 20 days, I'll be able to add Therum, and that will be the last of my annexed outposts for a long time. This will be max size. We have nowhere left to expand to. How am I doing in terms of victory? Let's see that. So the Holy Guardians here are number 1. The Overlord that we have is still number 3. And I'm still sitting at 9, so I really haven't changed in relation to other nations. I am ahead of the Eradicators, which is at number 14. And I'm slightly behind the Prosnakin, only by like 100 points, who was number 6. So the fact that I'm keeping up with the Prosnakin pretty closely, despite the fact that I'm a vassal, which puts me at a distinct disadvantage, is pretty good. It means that I can nearly go toe-to-toe with the Prosnakin. Yeah, we have equivalent fleet power. So if I went to war with them, we'd be about tied. Ooh, Nick the Good just got Frontier Spirit, which gives him the ability to make colony ships more cheaply, which is going to be useful if we colonize Tyrodinis. But Tyrodinis here is currently being terraformed and needs 3,400 days left to terraform, so it's going to be a while. I'm not going to build the ship ahead of time, as we have no use for it for another 3,000 days. I think I'm going to pull Chrome Jr. I'm going to wait until Chrome...
online.
No, I'm going to pull Chrome Jr. off of the archaeology site, which really has not been going well, and have Chrome Jr. research this anomaly at his own namesake. This anomaly is the On the Barren Plains. And here we go. We have added Ferrum, and this is the last territory for a while, and it's going to Dr. Troublemaker. So congrats, Doc. Hopefully that system doesn't make me trouble. And that has untapped trade value as well, which will eventually be tapped by Yoda Prime.
Discovered.
Basic combat rolls got added, and I need to add that to my ship, so I'll show you how to do that in a second. And I'm going to first search... No, there's no more researchers I want to add. So I'm going to add... my next research will be... improved deflectors for better shields. So if we go to Ship Designer and go to Corvettes, the ship computers is this section here. So the computer that I'm going to install on my Corvettes will be the Swarm computer. increases the fire rate, increases the evasion. The other choice would be a picket computer, which would increase tracking. The tactics here, swarm tactics, the ship will charge straight at the enemies and try to deal as much damage as possible from point-blank range. The picket computer will close to range and attempt to intercept the enemy. So I'm going to have my corvettes here swarm. For my destroyers, I'm going to give them artillery computers because they have the long-range artillery bow, so that they have a fire range of 5% and a weapons range of 5%. So the artillery tactics will try to have the ships stay at long range, which is 80, and fire its long-range weapons on the target, basically sitting outside of the fight, hammering from a distance. And then let's retrofit these ships to have the required computers. And finally, my fleet strength is above 1,000. Not quite at the coveted 9,000 yet, though.
Fleet enhanced.
So we have a 1.1k fleet. We're still inferior to the Eradicators, but I'm guessing catching up a little bit. And then once the anchorages upgrade, I will definitely catch up a lot more because I'll have a much higher fleet capacity. So if you hold left alt, it shows you all of the untapped resources. So you can see that I have exotic gases here, living metal here, 3 trade value and 3 trade value. And it makes it a little bit easier to see what resources you haven't hit. The reason I keep all the resources on all the time is so that I know the value of the system. So I know that if I lose Dr. Troublemaker, it's no sweat. Or if I lose Dead Dodo, it's no sweat. It doesn't have a lot of resources. But a system like Lara the Storm is full of resources, so they're higher priority. You can change the way these are shown down here. This button right there, which then reverses the toggle. So normally it shows you only untapped resources and you have to hold left alt to show all resources. But I like more information rather than less, but it's really up to your personal preference. I know you're a bottleneck, but you know what? Exarch is also a bottleneck too. They have to go through Exarch, they have to go through Techie to get to the heart of the Empire. So you're not the only bottleneck, which is why you're low value. But I still want to keep you if I can. In fact, the next starbase that I get might be plopped at Dead Dodo as a way to block the Prosnakan from being able to easily invade me. The issue here, tactically, is that my fleets are super far away from Dead Dodo. So if the Prosnakan declared war on me, they would likely be able to get Dead Dodo, Exarch, Chrome, and Techie before I even got to the battlefront. So slapping a Bastion here to stand in their way would be tactically intelligent. The other thing is, right now our fleet power is evenly matched, so they're not likely to try to invade me because they don't really have an advantage. Typically, the AI only invade you if they think they can win. They're not suicidal, not normally. So here in my homeland, I'm going to build another generator district to try to generate more energy credits. And then I'm going to clear all the industrial wastelands here and sprawling slums that limit the amount of districts that I have. So if you take a look up here, right now my maximum districts is 18 because 3 of the districts that I could possibly have are locked by slums and wastelands. So if I clear the slums and wastelands, my homeworld can grow even further. On Savanti Prime, I have a sinkhole that could be filled, but I don't have the technology to do it yet. And 2 districts locked to dangerous wildlife, which could be cleared, but I don't have the technology yet either. My governor is a loser. Sorry, Savanti, but you're a loser. Arrested development. Leader cap reduced by 2. Which means instead of going up to level 6, I can only go up to level 4. Yeah, I'm going to replace her. I'm going to replace her right now with Long live. I'm actually going to rig this one entirely. Because I'm going to name him the ALS Gamer. So you're fired, an ALS Gamer. For your generosity, you become the governor. And this governor is an intellectual governor, which increases the amount of research that I generate. And hopefully won't get negative traits.
Online.
Because I keep getting negative traits. I keep getting substance abuser or arrested development over and over and over again. That's happened to me like 4 or 5 times now, which is brutal. My anchorages have grown. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my naval capacity should shoot up once those are built.
Online.
And then here at the Yoda shipyard, I'm going to do 2 trade hubs. And that's it for now. So the trade hubs, the way these work, the collection range of Yoda Prime right now with 1 trade hub is 1. So I can collect from Talar the Storm. When I build 2 more, this is 1, 2 out to Petrable and 1, 2, 3 out to Dr. Troublemaker. Which then means I'll be able to collect the trade goods from all of my empire, leaving nothing untapped. I still don't even have a, in limbo.
Situation log updated.
An alien vault filled with data storage devices practically begs for some archaeological data recovery. Let's do it. If I mouse wheel down on this outline or outliner over here, you can see the progress towards terraforming Toroidness, and it's not very far. If I took a look at edicts here, however, there is terraforming gases, which increases terraforming speed, but it requires an upkeep of exotic gases. So if I wanted to speed up terraforming, what I could do is research how to exploit exotic gases through exotic gas extraction in order to then have the exotic gases to enable terraforming gases. I don't know how soon I'm going to be offered exotic gases, but it would be a societal research and hopefully one that's offered soon.
Research project concluded.
Okay, so there is an option here. I'm going to read it off to you, but I'm going to put up the poll now. The vault is a tomb of hopeful immortals. The science officer Chrome Jr. asserts that the huge blocks of ternary code found in the databanks are neural images, digitized brain scans. Doubtless, the aliens of Chrome Jr. considered this their only shot at any kind of survival, following whatever calamity befell their planet. They did not have the means to resurrect themselves, but banked on the impossible small hope that eventually someone else would have those means. So I can either let them die for 4,500 engineering research, or download their neural patterns for safekeeping for 2,200 engineering research, and the possibility to do something about that later. And you guys say download them for safekeeping, so that we did. The kinder of the 2 options, I think. And now, Chrome Jr., you go back to your excavations. Hopefully making more progress than you did before. Because before it was pathetic. You failed over and over. Hey, Sylvanti can upgrade their planetary administration from the reassembled ship shelter, which it has been since the founding, to planetary administration, which adds an enforcer job, adds additional amenities, and building slots, and colonist jobs. So that's, and that was unlocked as a result of hitting a minimum of 10 population, which we had recently hit. Or just now we hit it. You've been watching Stellaris Overlord, which originally streamed live on Twitch May 17th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to all my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel. I'll catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, everybody.